It's Astrology Roast. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny shitty intro.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Astrology Roast. My name is Karen.
My name is Itai.
And of course we're back now a couple of hours later than our usual upload of the podcast, but we're here, and the reason why it's been a little bit later than usual has been because today's a very special birthday of a very special Aries.
What?
Itai, happy birthday on behalf of all of the Astrology Roast fans, myself.
Thank you.
Your extended family with the 35 million cousins that exist on the peripheries of Israel. Happy birthday to you. How are you feeling?
Thank you so much. I'm feeling, I'm 31. This is the age where a few years ago, a politician in Israel said that gay people, she feels sorry for gay people because when they turn 40, they kill themselves because...
What? Okay, I think a trigger warning is needed before saying that.
Well, basically she said, I feel bad because gay people are so lonely. When they get to 40, they look ugly and they have no partners and no kids and they kill themselves. So retrospectively, trigger warning, I'm sorry, but... I'm 31. I'm getting close to
You're definitely more blunt now.
I'm getting close to that big 40, 40. But I'm happy. I'm really embracing my old age. I've been becoming a daddy. Maybe one day I could be, a daddy to someone. Like I had people that were my daddy for a while.
Yeah, you mean like in a sensual way? Like
not
like actually fathering children.
No, not at all. Even today I took a picture with an empty stroller and an empty baby stroller. Is that the word?
Yes.
To celebrate my
your daddy vibes.
Kidless life. I'm very happy that I don't have any children
at
the moment. So things to celebrate. Am I right? Birthday.
I mean, it's also Aries season though. So how are you feeling about that? Because we've spoken for the last 3 million weeks about this fucking insane Mercury retrograde, which feels like it's never going to end. Now, I read just earlier today that this Mercury retrograde has allegedly been active from February, and its residue is actually going to last for a couple more weeks. So we've got Mercury channeling direct at the minute, but it's now chugging over the shadow bits that it went over. So it's lifting, but it's still very present. So have you felt any different?
I don't know if it's placebo effect or if astrology isn't real, but ever since Aries season started, even though it was through Mercury retrograde, I feel amazing. As we called the last episode spring in the butt. I still feel that spring in the butt. I will say before we change the subject that there's nothing I would like to do more on the last hour of my birthday than making this podcast. I was the whole day hoping that we're going to make the episode, and it's the weekend, and I'm so excited that I get to celebrate my birthday with the podcast. So thank you to everyone that's listening.
Thank you everyone for giving Itai his birthday wish of listening to your humble podcast, which is mine too. This weekend, now the reason why this podcast hasn't happened, in addition to the fact that it's your day of birth, your Sunday, is that I have been celebrating various life cycle events. So within 3 days, I've celebrated the entire spectrum of life, death, birth, and marriage.
Wow.
Yeah. And as a person that has grown up in a Jewish environment, we are very comfortable and familiar with the narrative surrounding death and rebirth.
Very nice.
Seriously, you go to any event, it's a birthday, it's a fifth birthday party, and someone will talk about the Holocaust, that 3 brothers survived and their whole family was killed. So actually, this weekend I did go to a funeral, but for once the context of those discussions felt in line with the event. I looked around, everyone was wearing black and talking about the Holocaust and rebirth and living after death, and it felt very appropriate. So that was nice and very moving. But also I've had birthdays, I've had Sabbath dinners, I've had a baby shower. I've had a hen's night for my Cancerian friend.
I'm still a bit sad that we couldn't find a 13-year-old.
I needed a bar mitzvah,
to celebrate a bar mitzvah. Even, you know what? Even a 12-year-old girl, even a bat mitzvah, which is, not as fancy as the bar mitzvah.
It's always relegated to the lowest of the lows.
It's always like when a boy, first of all, whenever someone gets married in Israel at least, and I think in Jewish in general, they just say like, soon you're going to have a boy. Well, with the help of God, you're going to have a boy. It's never like a child or it's a boy. In Hebrew, we even say a male boy. Like they specify like double boy, and which is very stupid in my opinion. But then also when they're born, so you do the bris, like after 8 days, you cut the pin. But if it's a girl, there's no reason to actually gather.
Yeah.
Like, there's no ceremony, but then sometimes they will do a ceremony and everyone's just there thinking like,
progressive.
There's no reason.
Progressive that we gather for a woman baby.
Which is, but you know what? Judaism, it gives us some of the good and some of the bad. Yes, we are maybe a sexist society, but we're also funny.
Yes. And I think that kind of brings us to what we're going to cover today, although I think we'll touch base on one of the other life cycle events that you and I went to this weekend, which was a queer party.
Oh, that is a life cycle and a half.
That is a life cycle. I felt very cool because I went from a giant Shabbos/Sabbath Friday night dinner at my friend's house with her 30 of her closest family members. After that, I felt really cool because I was like, oh, guys, I gotta go. Like, going to a party in Brunswick. And I very rarely get to say that. So that was really the highlight for me. But then I actually had to go to the party.
Which was great. But you came from a Shabbat dinner.
Yeah.
And I came from trying to impress my new boyfriend.
Yes. I didn't want to bring up the B word, but I was waiting for you to say.
Listen, I don't talk about my boyfriend at all. I would say in brackets of 10 minutes. I don't, in between those times that I mention him, there's at least 10 minutes in between each time, which is a long time, objectively speaking. I came back from work and I was so tired, and we were like going to the party later. So I said, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to sleep for at least an hour, 2 hours. Like, I was obviously fooling myself because I can't really sleep, but I was going to pretend to be asleep. And then my boyfriend messaged me saying, hey, I'm bored at work. Do you want to come? Oh, so I'm going to expose his job. He's a barber. He cuts people's hair. So he said...
he's not a pharmacist.
He's not a pharmacist.
Last episode.
He's a barber. And he's a Gemini barber, which means, surprise when you get a haircut. You never know. So basically, he was like, hey, I have an hour. I'm bored at work. Do you want to come over? I was like, I'll be there in 10.
Yeah.
Got out of bed, got back into my clothes, drove back ASAP. So I got a haircut, even though I got a haircut literally a week ago. Like, I don't have any hair, but I wanted to
Yeah, for him you have hair.
Yeah, so he cut my hair, then we went out. And we met a really special Leo in that queer party.
We did. Yeah. And I've had an interesting history with Leos.
Yeah.
I've said often they are a very loved sign and they're very lovable. And I do love them.
They're very lovable.
They can exhaust me. And I know very well that myself as a Gemini stellium can exhaust many other people. So I say this with a light touch.
Yeah, and compassion.
With a grain of salt, as they say, or MSG.
Salt of the earth.
Salt of the earth. And yeah, they can be very interesting anyway. So we were at this party. Of course, like every, party in Brunswick, which I never go to. I don't want to mislead anyone listening to this podcast. Like, if you've been listening, and, thank you for listening. Like, why would you be listening? Like, there's other shit you could be doing, like, researching something of depth. But I'm appreciative that you're here.
Like astrology.
Yeah, like astrology. But if you've been listening, then you know that my home, my safe space is this couch. Maybe my room. But sometimes I do go out, and this was one of those nights. Anyway, so we went out. There was a couple of other people there just hitting the D floor, just dancing like nobody was watching, with my hands up in the air like nobody cares, whilst deeply caring and being deeply self-conscious. You know, always self-conscious of where you're dancing. Like, am I near the hot people? Am I in the right crowd? Am I near the right music? Am I looking like I'm effortless? Am I dancing the right way? But anyway.
Yes.
I don't know about yes, but it was lovely. And we're there. The music turns shit, as it often does at these parties. Like, you've got one great DJ that's playing all the hits, and then it turns into like glitchy, druggy, too cool for school music, which I think is really amazing if you're a DJ and you appreciate music and you know the technical components of it. But if you're just a punter and you just want to dance your cares away.
Can I just say, like, DJs that play their own music, and you're just sitting there and you're thinking, I feel like they're jerking off on stage and they just want everyone to see, but it's not entertaining. Like, you're just playing songs that you think are cool and everyone else just want to hear Kylie and Madonna.
Yeah, 100% read the crowd. And I think you have such a level of power. It's like this benevolent dictatorship that you have when you're a DJ. And like I've said before, you know, power's great. Wish I had more of it. Want to cultivate it all. Like, but, you know, use it wisely. Like, use it to your advantage to get more power and more fame, which is by playing Madonna and Kylie. Exactly. Anyway, so that finished. So the crew that we were there with went outside to chill out on the couches outside. And obviously the couch being my safe space, this was my dream because I'm in Brunswick at a warehouse party, quote unquote, but I'm on a couch chatting to some Canadian, British backpackers or whoever was there. You and another Leo friend thought it would be great to make that an advice couch. So for anyone seeking support or advice, they could just come and ask us any questions. And then a woman sat down and you explained to her, like, do you need any advice? Like, you can ask us anything. And she was like, well, firstly, she was a Leo, so that gives you a bit of context. Secondly, she was like, yeah, I'm going to like get advice from you on the condition that I can also give you some advice. And you were like, whoa, of course. Like, I guess it's solicited advice because you agreed, you consented, but it was really... And then all of a sudden, of course, true Leo style, the tables turned and the four of us sitting on the couch asked her very deep personal questions about our lives and how she could change it.
It was also hilarious because she had bright pink hair. Really like, what's the name for that? Hot pink, like appropriate to a Leo. And she started by asking her question. And her question was, should I change the color of my hair? And then she was like, I'm vibing the pink, but I'm thinking maybe to get like tips, like frosted tips.
Yeah.
And I was like, go for it. Yes. Loving it. Blah, blah, blah. And then it turned to our questions and we were all like, I'm really sad. I can't sleep. I can't connect.
No, not all of them were sad questions. The first question was from our Leo friend who asked about her new love affair.
It's true.
So that was like a fun question. And you can tell that the girl sitting in front of us loved that. She was like, yes, finally my moment where four people on a couch at a party are recognizing my knowledge of the world.
Yeah.
So, you know, the question was like, should I kiss this new girl that I'm seeing? Like, what's the go? And so it was like real relationship advice and like lots of lighthearted fun.
Yeah.
Then your question, yes, like you touched on some insomnia.
Yeah.
Took it there. My question, and of course the other Gemini that was there, our questions were basically the same questions. I can't connect to anyone. I feel nothing, and yet I long to feel. So I think she struggled a bit more with that question. And again, that Gemini-Leo connection can always be a bit fraught. I don't feel like they quite get us and we get them.
No. I think the takeaway points from this little story is, one, consent for advice. Yeah. So she asked us if we're willing to take advice from her. And I think for Leos, it's like very natural to give people advice and to go for it. So like, thank you for her for asking. And maybe for the other star signs to know that, you know, there's a time and place for every question. And And not everyone can solve our problems, but we tried, and we asked, and she tried to answer.
So true. As soon as the question slipped out of my mouth, I was like, why? Just bring that back in. Like, as soon as she started telling me about how, like, you know, what was she saying? Something around like how, you know, as long as you have like lots of sexual relationships and really close friendships, it's good. And I was like, you're describing a lifestyle that is not my life, that I feel like I would love my life to be this wild, active, free, loving life of multiple, you know, relationships. It was just, we were just not meeting each other.
No, but
we were on different wavelengths. She was lovely though.
She was lovely. She was very wise. She was very sweet.
Very sharp.
I think what she brought in a way was like the idea of learning from others and being able to learn from every person you meet. And I don't remember who said that, but you know how people talk about their people that they knew that passed, or like, and they say, oh, he would always ask the cleaner how they are. He knew everyone by name. She told me, her last words to me were, you can learn something from everyone. And I think it's true, and you can learn something from everyone. And we thought to make an episode about the people that we learn from, and the people that we've been doing this podcast for a while, and we get a lot of inspirations from other people. And it's cool. It's a cool idea, I think, to give the love back and to say, I learned from this person. I think about this person before I record an episode.
Because it's like little pieces, like little treasures that you find, you know, when you just pick up on a new book or a new way of thinking and you just want to share it with everyone. So, hells yeah, let's use this platform to shower some love on the people that have inspired this podcast. You and I, Itai, we are not professional astrologers, nor do I claim to be. All the haters out there, I know you're going to troll me, but no, I'm joking. No one's ever trolled me before. It's been my dream to be on Twitter and to have people troll me.
If you're listening right now, go to Karen's Instagram and comment snake emoji.
Yeah, snake emoji or an eyeballs emoji, because that would make me feel like I'm really an influencer.
You're trolled. You're being trolled.
And then I would be invited to the Fire Festival in retrospect. But yeah, like it's just so great to share all this love. I feel like there is a common thread in all of these influences that we have. Some might be books, some might be astrologers, some might be podcasts, but they all have a similar message of self-acceptance, you know, potentially a quirkiness or a refreshing way of viewing things, and basically making weird people feel normal, which is totally my jam, or my attempted jam.
So who was the first person that... I think.
Well, yeah, I've got it's the mother of all things astrology roast.
Seriously.
And I don't know if we've actually given her enough love.
No.
And wait, no, she's not a Leo.
She's an Aquarius.
She's an Aquarius. I love her deeply. Anyway, Nadiya Shah, where do I even begin? So my delightful Cancerian friend whose hens night just was, and I might just have a little aside, this particular hens night, she answered all these questions about her partner, her husband-to-be, and they were all so fucking Cancerian, the answers. Like, one of them was like, what annoys him the most about you? And she's like, that I'm passive-aggressive. And then what does he love the most about you? I'm super caring.
Cancerian love.
What does he hate the most about you? That I'm always right. It's not my problem if I'm right. Like,
no, it's everyone else's problem.
Exactly. Love it. Anyway, love her. But anyway, she's introduced me to the best astrologer I know, and I adore her across all her platforms, Nadiya Shah. She is predominantly active on YouTube. She does regular video scopes, and she also has a wonderful online space called Astrofabulous. She also has a jewelry line, I think, also called Astrofabulous. I've never bought the jewelry. It's very expensive, and it's in USD. But she is incredibly knowledgeable and wise about astrology, and she's super wild with her makeup, but she just is always very, like, her motto is that the universe is wise and loving.
Yes.
And she's seen some shit. Like, she lives in Mexico now. She's Canadian. I think she's from a Persian Indian family. I'm not sure. But her work has influenced me just on a personal note. It's uplifting, it's positive, it's accurate, it is also very relatable and accessible astrology for those that don't know all of the bits and pieces and the more technical components. So if you're looking to get started and you want someone that's a bit fabulous, that loves flashy makeup, that loves to say, I'll never lie to you. You know me, guys. I'll never lie to you.
And she also very reassuring in the way that she's like, in 3 months, Venus is going to do this, and I will be here to tell you all about it.
If she wasn't here to tell me about it, I don't know what I would do with myself. Like, I would need people to check in on me.
So I was also so happy that our Cancerian friend introduced you to Nadiya Shah, because we subscribed to her. We got the paid membership, and that was I think I got it for you for your birthday.
Like the best birthday present I've ever gotten.
And then I realized that I was paying double for like a year for the membership, and we tried to cancel it, and I was like emailing her and her assistant, and her assistant name changed every week. But she's an Aquarius, and I feel when she talks about Aries, I feel there is some kind of beef going on. I would love to.
She loves Sagittarians because she's got a Sag moon.
Yeah, and she's very Aquarius in the way that visually she's very interesting. The backgrounds she used, now I think she just uses like a white wall behind her.
It's also low budget, like her theme music.
It's like it shouldn't be anything else. It's like you watch her and everything makes sense. She's comforting, even though the background is almost like things that would come with the Windows, but if Windows was a bit like,
oh my god,
and QR, like it's not the actual pictures that come with Windows, it's like a fake version of them.
Yeah, it's like word art as well. That used to be on MS Office. I could just go on about it, but I do agree with you that she's very Aquarian in the sense that I feel like she's here on a collective mission.
Yes.
She talks a lot about love and wisdom and compassion, and also about how when she worked at Walmart, she was doing all her colleagues' natal charts whilst, slaving away to make $1. And she talks about things as if she's been there. She's known depression. She's known what it's like to struggle. All these themes that everyone feels, but there is a detached collective quality to it, and she's very much on her mission.
Yes.
So if you feel like you want a warm astrological hug and you want to see where Astrology Roast all started, and you want some sassy makeup tips or some sassy jewelry for that special someone that you're in love with,
Nadiya Shah.
I can't, if you need my password, if you're a Gemini and you want to watch the Gemini content, I'm happy to loan you my password for a bit.
Yeah, but you should also pay her.
You should pay, yeah.
Or watch her free YouTube videos.
Yeah, heaps of free content. She's actually also very big on supporting other up-and-coming astrologers. She's recently supported an intersectional astrologer called Ryver. He looks at astrology through the lens of power and intersectionality, and he's just really sweet and really sharp. So that's a new thing that I've just been dabbling in.
And I just clicked follow yesterday, looking forward to
Ryver.
Yeah.
Ryver spelled Ryver.
So check both of them out. I want to talk about someone that I discovered pretty recently. Someone recommended an Aquarius that works with me at school, shout out, told me about this podcast called Secret Dinosaur Cult. And if you haven't heard about it, it's a podcast by two comedians, Sofie, Hagen, and Jody. I don't remember Jody's last name, but you can find them on Instagram, Secret Dinosaur Cult, and they have their actual Instagrams in the bio. And I was listening to them. They're two, I don't know how to even describe them, hilarious, queer, body positive, feminist.
I have to listen to it.
Yeah, literally everything that's good. And they're super sex positive, and they choose every week a dinosaur, and then they stretch the hell out of that dinosaur to the theme. So if it would be a dinosaur that is I don't know, and it's all about daddy issues and trauma. It's just hilarious. And they have
it's hilarious.
They have a segment where they do, my favorite segment, it's a 1 minute segment where they go, Sofie, how did you fill your daddy hole this week?
Wow.
And then she says, for example, they can answer, I reorganized my closet based on colors. And then there's a pause, and then the other one goes, and did it work? Like, did your dad come back? And they're like, no. It's just like this whole segment. Anyway, they're hilarious. And Sofie, so I followed Sofie on Instagram, and she's super active. She's a comedian. She's a Danish comedian. And she's just releasing a book right now called Happy Fat. And she also recorded the audiobook. So if you don't like to read and if you're like a person of the millennium, you can listen to it. And it's all about body positivity and it's okay to be fat. And she's just sending all these amazing messages, but also in a sharp, unapologetic way. Literally, it's actually, you just have to follow her and see. But my favorite part was she did a Q&A on her Instagram, and I wrote, and I asked her, what's your star sign? And her response was, first of all, you can Google it, but also try to guess, which is, to me, automatically screams. When people tell me guess, I know they're one of two. If they say it like guess and you see that they kind of want you to guess, I feel like they're Leos, because they get so excited you're going to discover something. And if they say guess, but in a testy kind of way, like, let's see if you can do it, they're a Scorpio. As well, if you guess wrong and the response is like a facial expression that is like disgust, the second guess should be a Scorpio. They're like, they can't handle being guessed something else. Anyway, she told me to guess, and then I was like, okay, Scorpio or Leo. And then I remember that she wrote that in her podcast, they were talking about roommates and living with roommates. And they were talking about the concept of like knocking on someone's door. And Jody said that people don't knock on her door, they just open it. And then Jody asked, Sofie, what's your policy? And Sofie said, oh, my policy is that they have to text me before they interact. Yeah, so she will be in the room, in her house, and the roommates, if they want to interact with her, they have to text her. And she can either screen the text and they know, okay, or she can say no, or she can say yes, and then they can enter, which was like, and I was like, okay, Scorpio. And the other thing is they were talking about enemies on one of their episodes.
Oh, Scorpio's favorite topic.
And Jody asked her, so do you have enemies? And she said, yeah, I have a list on my phone. I have on my notes enemies, but she had two lists. She had like a list of serious enemies that she will sabotage their lives.
Okay.
And a list of just like
general enemies.
Daily people that she doesn't like. And I was like, and then I wrote Scorpio, and she was like, yes.
Why am I so drawn to them?
To Scorpios.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we should do an episode just about that.
Like, I've been clean for a while now. Like, I haven't had any relapses, but like every time.
What is it that you like? Maybe the deep.
I think it's the depth. And the fear of that deep revenge. Like, I think that keeps things exciting. Like, you really don't know if they will. Like, I've made jokes about keying people's cars, and I feel like a Scorpio would actually do that instead of just talking about it. So I think there's a bit of admiration for that real attention to detail.
And I feel like for
that loyalty as well.
And playing with fire and
yes.
testing the boundaries.
And they're not even a fire sign, and yet it is the boundary pushing. No, anyway, that's another story. Now, another influence of late, a recent one, but one super close to my heart, which I have then gifted to you, Itai, so it's now in your heart, is Abbi Jacobson's new book, I Might Regret This. And, well, that is the name of the book. I'm not regretting talking about it because I think it's wonderful. Now, as someone that is one of those, well, borderline millennials who can't read for the life of herself, this book has a good mixture of pictures, quirky pencil-drawn pictures, which is like very now and very fresh, but combined with her essays about love and loss. So Abbi Jacobson, as most of you know, is one part of the amazing duo on Broad City. And I just thought, yeah, it'll be a funny, interesting book. But I read a bit about it. She is an amazingly diligent creative worker. She's worked fucking hard to get where her and Alana are in their careers. But she actually didn't experience falling in love until 32. And so she fell in love for the first time relatively late in life, and she also got her heart squished and smashed into smithereens quite later in life. And this book explores falling in love and the gut-wrenching loss of losing your first or any true love or deep love. It's beautiful, it's touching, it's heartbreaking, and it also makes you feel absolutely okay with who you are. I think the main message over and above any of those themes around love and loss is about being okay and, you know, still staying alive and remembering that we're all just doing our best and we're all fine and it'll be okay wherever you're at. And I'm just like, I wish I read this book 5 years ago,
Seriously.
4 years ago. It is something I would give to anyone that's going through that now or might go through that in the future. It's at some points, like, I'm certainly not comparing myself to Abbi Jacobson at all, but she says some things that I would feel I would say, or maybe you would say, or it's so real.
And I think it's, again, that Aquarius, she's an Aquarius, and her ability to write something that is personal, but somehow feel like she's writing something that is just the truth of the universe. And it's also very intellectual. It's not very, the book is very, like, you don't read it and feel like she's talking about the depth of your soul. You think...
No, it's lulls. There's so many lulls. And you were reading it on the plane, on the Qantas plane, I might add, to Western Australia, to Perth. And I was just watching a thriller on the iPads that Qantas has. Like, planes have iPads now. But every now and then I could hear you lulling to the book because I've given it to you, and it just made me so happy. I just want to buy 10 copies and give it to everyone, particularly if you've got a short attention span. So it's just essays. But I've just fallen in love with her. I just feel like she's telling a story that so many people don't know or don't articulate in such a way, particularly falling in love so much later in life and going through heartbreak so much later and having, you know, achieved this amazing career and not really knowing what was missing until she achieves it or she gains it and then she loses it. And it's just, heartbreaking. It's amazing. Anyway, I've spoken a lot about it, and what a beautiful Aquarius.
She is.
I can lend it to anyone that needs it after I give it to another friend.
I'm still halfway through, but I'm going to finish it.
You've got 5 days to finish it because I need to give it to someone.
And I will.
Yeah. And I will. Any other one? Oh, I've got so many that I've listed here. Another podcast that I've been listening to, again, on sexual stuff, as someone that spends a lot of time on the couch, not being super sexual, I do listen to a lot of stuff or read a lot of stuff around sex positivity. But two podcasters that I adore are called The Pleasure Mechanics, which is a very industrial name for a sex positive pleasure podcast. Don't know why I'm listening to all this stuff, but again, they're two... Well, they started off as massage therapists and they are in love, in lust. But they have this podcast. I think there's like 300 episodes and it is real, upfront, amazing, empathetic, intelligent conversations about sex and sexuality and pleasure. They also interview like my other favorite amazing influencers and brains, Esther Perel, who we all love and know, Emily Nagoski. The list goes on. If anyone wants some sex advice, I mean, obviously contact me and Itai first. Like, we're happy to...
For any advice.
Any advice. Like, I'll definitely try my best to respond, you know, like articulate, long-form essay format.
I'll use a lot of emojis.
Yeah, emojis. But happy to point you in the direction of that podcast. I think it's just reminding everyone that whatever you're asking or the weird shit that you're thinking is actually... very normal. We forget that all the time, and I keep hearing all these messages from the universe and from my friends. Is that like, oh, this is happening and I'm just so in it and I'm so alone in it and it's just me and like, woe is me. And like, that's me usually saying that, woe is me. I can't face this world and I must be on a mountaintop in a monastery and I need to be Buddhist this week because the world is so overwhelming for me, even though I'm only working part-time. But it turns out that everyone's kind of feeling that.
Yeah.
And also with the sexy stuff, like, again, if there's any weird stuff that's going on for you, particularly if you're a woman or anything like that, you're just not sure where you're at with that stuff, like, they cover it. They've been there. They've done it all.
The Pleasure Mechanics.
The Pleasure Mechanics. I think it's called Speaking of Sex. I think they are the mechanics who speak of sex. And they've done all of it with everyone. but they're super, they're very trauma informed. And they're very empathetic, and they're, again, not, I think some of those podcasts that explore sex or pleasure can make people feel inadequate if they're not having sex, or if they're not in a stage in their life where they are wanting it or feeling good about it. Like, you can feel like, you know, they might not feel that great about it, but they're just giving you advice for wherever you're at, which is great.
I want to listen to it.
Yeah, and they've both got really husky breathing voices.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good when you're doing the laundry or, you know, ironing some clothes on a Sunday afternoon. Like, makes you feel like you're really, like, in the world.
Definitely. I want to give a quick shout out to someone we have mentioned on the podcast, but still manages to be a big part of my life, and that's Amber Wagner.
Amber Wagner!
Yes. So she's a Leo.
They really all are Leos. Can I make a little side point about Jennifer Lopez, world famous Leo? I'm sorry to bring it back to her, but I don't think anyone will mind, or she
You
will
can't
mind.
mention the star sign Leo without saying the words Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah. She just kind of won't leave me alone, like most Leos in my life. But anyway, Jennifer Lopez is now going to be starring in a new movie, which I'm still waiting to find out whether or not it's going to be straight to TV or will be aired in cinemas near me. But it's called Hustlers. And it's about a group of older strippers or sex workers. I'm not sure.
I think it's strippers.
I think they're strippers. And they are getting back on a former boss who's wronged them. So it's a bunch of older strippers, I think. And they're getting back on their boss. And I literally gasped when I saw her advertising it on her Instagram, because I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for Jennifer Lopez's next film to be about being... It's a stripper who gets revenge. It's like all my dreams in one.
Definitely, but it's also like if we took over movies and as a joke we would write a new script, we would write that. Like, it's just like so Jennifer Lopez to do like
Hustlers.
Hustlers.
And I think
it's gonna be amazing.
Love about her is no matter what she's promoting, she promotes it as if it's the best thing since sliced bread. So recently, her and her husband now, A-Rod, Anthony Rodriguez, have been promoting these ugly as fuck sunglasses from this Australian sunglasses brand. I don't know, I'm not so into them, and I'm also not so into her husband, but that's, you know, he makes her happy.
Yeah.
But they're promoting, like, they're just these really tacky pictures of them in sunglasses. It's an Australian brand. It's not even a global, like, brand like Ray-Ban, but they really, like, promote it as if it's the first time sunglasses have ever been promoted by anyone, let alone Jennifer Lopez.
What's A-Rod's star sign, do you know? He looks like a Taurus.
I don't know. I actually don't care. I've erased him. Anyway, Hustlers, coming to a TV show or a cinema near you. But anyway.
Oh my God, he's also a Leo.
He's also, and they love it.
They love being in love, and they love and they love each other.
They love celebrity.
And they love themselves.
Yeah, wow. Maybe it will last after all. Maybe it will last.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Anyway, I did steal the limelight.
Well, Amber Wagner,
we
talked about her. She's a Leo, and she shines light and love into the world, and that is pretty much everything you need to know about her. If you don't know still who she is, you need to go right now to your Instagram and write JSTLBBY.
AKA Just Living, baby.
Yes, and she's incredible. She has 2 million followers, so she doesn't need you or me or you.
Rihanna being one of them. Rihanna follows her.
And she just like, you know, she goes from an inspirational, motivational speech to advertising pills that make your vagina or your penis juice to taste delicious like fruit, according to her, like a fruit salad.
If you need to look that up, it's called My Sweet V.
Yeah, no, now it's
they
called
do
My
post
Sweet.
To Australia.
It used to be called My Sweet V. It was only promoted for women, and now it's called just My Sweet. Yeah, because it's for everyone.
Yes, she does. She does do a lot of paid, weird, blurry content for a lot of small businesses. But if you put that aside and you just look at her inspirational content, she posts videos every couple of days or every few weeks, literally screaming at the camera about why the hell you should get the fuck out of your bed and make the most of your life. And she has these long ass nails, and she points with those long nails, and you feel like she
you need to do what she says.
Yeah, it's like the words of Jesus himself, and she's quite Christian a bit.
And to me, it works a lot better. Like being Virgo moon and being Capricorn stellium, I feel when someone talks softly or emotionally or sees me or understands me, I feel weak and I feel like embarrassed. But when someone screams at me and saying like, it's all in your hands, get the fuck out of your bed, the light is like, the sun is shining, it's up to you. I'm like, damn, yeah, like I need to do this. Screaming at me makes me really motivated.
She also screams a lot or talks a lot about her love life. Like she's been a bit unlucky in love. Yeah. She has a best friend, and they sit in the car together and they eat takeaway food and dance. And her message is also one of body positivity. She gets, trolled a lot because she doesn't fit the Instagram stereotype. Her body is different. She's a black woman. And she is so proud of her body and her curves, and she's absolutely gorgeous.
100%.
And just her presence is radical in and of itself. Unfortunately, in this day and age, that's still something that's different, but she really embodies that, and it's really inspiring. And, if you're like me and the first thing you do in the morning is grasp for your phone.
Curse the day I was born.
Or curse the day that you were born if you hate waking up in the morning. But I grab my phone. Obviously, I take a flick through Instagram. And when she comes up in the morning and she starts screaming at me about why the fuck are you sitting in the bed? Come on, go live your best life. It gets me. It gets me out of the bed. It gets me going.
Yeah, Amber Wagner. So do you have anyone else you want to mention?
I'll do a few short little tips and mentions for those that are astrology nerds or want a bit more in-depth / accessible astrology information.
100%.
Website or an Instagram you can look up is Forever Conscious. Amazing updates about transits, the month, the week ahead, and those planetary movements like Mercury retrograde. Forever Conscious, she's very articulate and she writes beautifully. Again, her whole message is one of global service and the fact that everyone's okay. Like, just do what you're doing and trust, and you'll be okay. And it's really positive and uplifting. And God knows we need a lot more in this crazy place we call the world.
And the internet can reassure you.
The internet can be good. It doesn't have to be dark and sinister.
It doesn't have to tell you that you have cancer. Sometimes it can tell you that everything is okay.
Yes. And sometimes it can tell you both.
Yes.
In the same sitting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it does. Anyone else?
Look, I could go on forever. There's heaps, but I think that's a good snapshot. Another man I've been researching lately is Oliver Sacks, who's he's passed away, but he also fell in love at like 72 with his hot gay boyfriend, and he was a Nobel Prize winning, intelligent, beautiful mind. And I just love these special souls that are in this world of ours that I keep somehow finding when I buy books at readings.
Nobel Prize, like, overrated, but hot young boyfriend.
Yes, and his hot young boyfriend, who's called, I think, Bill Hayes, who wrote a book about Oliver Sacks and New York City, both treasures. He also has an Instagram account where he takes photos of hot, sexy men in New York City, and he also takes photos of himself, and he's a hot, muscly man. So whether you're more into Oliver Sacks and his beautiful musings about the mind and neuropsychology and amnesia and synesthesia and things like that, if you're into that, you can go for Oliver Sacks's actual scientific works, or you can read Bill Hayes' memoir about falling in love with Oliver Sacks and how unusual Oliver Sacks is, and how, this was the first time he came out as a gay man, in his 70s.
Wow. And
found a very special, nourishing and loving relationship.
That's beautiful.
That also respected his autonomy. So anyway, very, very beautiful book. Again, happy to lend it to anyone. Come to my house, hit me up, or contact me on the gram.
Follow, subscribe, like.
Yeah.
But I want to end with maybe something that's very tacky, but I do feel like it really comes from the heart, and it's really true for me. And I feel like
things from the heart are true.
I know, and tacky. But I feel like it would also be true for you. But a lot of the people that contact us from the podcast, and whether it's, writing to us or following and us following them back, I feel like so many of them are very, I don't know how to say it, but just inspiring in that way, that the things that they post and the stories that they share with us, to me, is just like, gives me that, I can't wait to make a new episode. I can't wait to do something new, because really, there won't be a day without someone like messaging me at 3 a.m. He's a Capricorn teacher from, I think he lives in Hong Kong. And
you love Hong Kong.
I love Hong Kong. He made these stickers for the kids' names, but they all have the element and their star sign and everything. And then you would have him, and then you'll have someone from the US that's like, sharing a story from Mercury retrograde and saying, I want to switch jobs. I was speaking to my Cancerian boss. And then you'll have someone from Finland telling you, and then I'll follow them and I'll see the things they post on their story, and it's always positive, it's always progressive, it's always spreading something cool.
I love it. I feel whenever I've been followed by anyone that listens to the podcast who I've never met, similarly, I look at their Instagram account, I'm like, who are these cool, often young, amazing, intelligent people? Like, I'm intimidated by them. I think they seem awesome, and it's really a privilege to, learn from them as well.
Exactly. And I think that's a right time to say thank you for sharing your stories and for actually creating this conversation, because that is actually, I think, the reason why, maybe not why we started the podcast, because we didn't know that will happen, but that's, I think, a big reason for why we keep doing it every week. And even on my birthday, which is very special. Very special. I did wake up today in a French man's bed, and he put Toxic on to wake me up, because I like Britney, and, Toxic is the only song that everyone knows. And it was very nice, and like, he gave me coffee, and I was like, when am I going to be told that this is a scam? Like, this French guy making coffee for me, playing Toxic, and it was just a bit surreal.
When is he going to steal your jewelry?
I know. I was like, what's your game?
What's your game? I think the game is that he likes you.
I think it's a terrifying thought.
It's terrifying, but you've read Abbi Jacobson's book about love and loss.
It's true.
So you've got that armor, you've got that preparedness.
Yes.
For love. And you've watched Nadiya Shah's videos, and she loves love.
Well, as Nadiya Shah says, I will be here next week to tell you all about it.
Don't worry.
Whatever's happening.
My favorite with her is when she gives you bad news about the week. She goes, I hate to break it to you, Gemini. You know I'll always be honest. I hate to tell you it's going to be hard.
But then she does.
Then she does. She tells you. And look, it's been a hard Mercury retrograde. We won't mention it again. But look, those are some of our inspirations. If there's anything that anyone out there is inspired by or is listening to, or any little nuggets of wisdom that you've come across on your astrological journeys, hit us up.
Let us know.
Yeah, I might get to it in 10 years at my rate. If there's an ebook, probably 5 years.
Yes, if it's an Instagram account,
immediately,
we'll get on it. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week on Astrology Roast.